Hello, I'm Marc Sumner, host of the Channel Chat podcast show, and today we have Paul Hamilton, the CEO and founder of Halo, in the studio in London. How are we doing?
Hey Mark, I'm great, thank you. Looking forward to a good chat about Halo and software and channel partners.
Great. Well, let's start it off there actually, Paul, because for the listeners that maybe don't know Halo and don't know what you're about, give us a bit of a 2-minute synopsis on how you started 20 years ago. 20 plus years ago.
Yeah, I mean 21 years ago was when I started doing this. I started employing people 14 years ago. So when we started, it was imagine sort of low-end basic ticketing platform. It didn't do anything like what it does today in terms of maturity, but obviously a lot less expensive. We didn't really say no to anything back then, or I didn't. It was a hustle, and you're just doing whatever you can to grow the business. In terms of what Halo is today, I mean, we've evolved into a 2-decade journey, but we have evolved into a digital workflow platform for enterprise, for sales and service, which is interesting because most enterprise organizations kind of either start off in sales or start off in service, but we've kind of just always done both. I mean, there's so much overlap, as we're now seeing with service now entering sales and CRM, and Salesforce entering ITSM, so it kind of makes sense to do both.
Give me an honest answer. Did you think it'd ever get this big?
Absolutely not, no.
You didn't?
It's crazy. I mean, every 12 months when I look back and think, well, would I have visualize like where we've gone in the next 12 months, and it really is a wild journey, and people often want the answer to that question to be yes. They want to know that there's like been this blueprint, this plan, so that they can then find out like what they can do to then, like, I don't know, try and replicate or do something similar. But no, there isn't really I mean, there's a blueprint, I guess, in some ways in terms of our philosophy, but what I would say is it's very rare to ever come across any people or organizations that have the patience to do what we've done, because it takes a hell of a long time to do what we've done.
You're now, I think, if I'm correct, the second biggest privately owned software company in the UK. Have you ever been tempted to sell? People must be coming up to you all the time thinking, I want to buy Halo.
We're actually the second largest software company of any. So Sage is a public company. They're first. They're about 12 billion valuation. We're now about 2 billion valuation. Was Darktrace. They got acquired by our friends over the pond, and so yeah, Halo is now the second most valuable. And I think in terms of will we sell, why don't we sell? I mean, we've had offers now for a good 5 years or so, and it's a mixture of mostly private equity. Some competitors as well over the years have wanted to acquire us, and I think, I mean, we're a really interesting company because all the leadership, we're all technologists. None of us are finance people. Our primary objective is not to make as much money as we can in the shortest time possible. The objective is, and it just dates back to like literally when it was me programming away till 1 a.m. or whatever in the morning, just because I'd have done a demo to someone and they'd say, it would have been great if it could do this. And I'd be like, I reckon I can make it do that. And it's because I just love problem solving. And I think we've now got a culture of people in the business who love problem solving. And I think whether it's the commercial team that are selling and they listen to the problems and they build out a proof of concept. And I mean, that's problem solving. The marketing team is problem solving. There's just problem solvers everywhere. And we just love the challenge. And it is a different challenge as you kind of progress up the ladder. We're in a position which, again, is very unusual to have operated throughout the whole scale of business. So right from the most basic ticketing, cheapest systems, into the mid-market and up into enterprise-grade platforms where we've now got some of the world's largest organizations in highly regulated industries using Halo for enterprise service management. So, and because we've gone through that journey, it actually puts us in a really good position, because I think there is flaws with the enterprise software industry, and we've got comparisons. We can compare it to like the mid-market and the lower end, and it's in terms of like standards and I could talk for hours about that. But
when you get approached by a private equity firm or another company, and you don't have to give me names, but what actually happens? Do they start talking numbers with you straight away? Where's these valuations come? Because if it was me, I'd be thinking, let's just do this deal and go.
Private equity is very relationship based, so it doesn't just, you don't just like get a proposal with no relationship with numbers. It doesn't work like that. It takes, I'd say, so I've had a couple of offers of over $1 billion valuation, which for up to 50%, so the one was 2 billion valuation. The thing is, like, so you think, well, okay, what would you do with the funds? Because you could either retire and like do your own thing and do nothing, go to the beach for the rest of your life. For me, I don't know, you'd lose purpose, you'd lose fulfillment. We have so much fun like doing what we do, and that would all be gone. And I've spoken to a lot of tech founders as well. Almost all of, I'd say unanimously, the biggest regret they've all got in their life is just selling the majority too early and kind of. So, but then you think, because there is, in many industries, there's so many reasons why it's good to raise money and good to sell minorities and to raise funds, whether it's through VC, private equity, IPOs, whatever. So many industries, like manufacturing, highly capital intensive industries, you kind of have to. If you want to grow and you want to become market leader, you have to raise a lot of money. There's no two ways about it. But I think in the software industry, it's very, very different. We're big believers in Brooks' Law. Brooks' Law is a theory where you cannot just throw more resource into a software development project. So if you double the resource, it doesn't just double the output. In many ways, there's a lot of sort of studies behind this now to show that it gets to a point and then every extra bit of resource you throw at it, it's actually net negative impact, and it slows down the agility, slows down the delivery, slows down the quality or reduces the quality. So we've got like a real sweet spot in our engineering team. We're absolutely content, and we believe we can scale to market leader with the exact engineering resource we have right now, which means we don't need money, finances to grow, to become market leader if we've got a product, so if we've got time. And the reason I say that is if we wanted to hyperscale and throw hundreds of millions or billions at a sales and marketing engine, which people do, I mean, that's what a lot of the enterprise software organizations, when they start up, they do throw hundreds, and you see it time and time again. You'll get a big sell-off to private equity. They'll raise hundreds of millions. We've got it going on, a couple of examples at the moment in the industry, and they literally go from maybe a couple of hundred staff to a couple of thousand staff, big new offices in all the tier 1 cities, culture dilutes, standards drop. Majority of people don't really have anything like the knowledge of the people that they used to have. So who's suffering? It's the customers. Like at the end of the day, yeah, okay, you're selling. So when you're going out to all these markets and you are picking up business because you're almost living off your reputation, but that only lasts so long before all of a sudden there's a tipping point, and then you kind of have this new reputation for being a company that's maybe lost its identity, doesn't have that same level of customer obsession, doesn't have the same standards, but maybe you've achieved your objectives, which is to get to like half the market share. Perhaps it's worked. But at Halo, because we genuinely do, it's an infinite game for us. We're never going to sell. We're never going to IPO. We're product led, which means it really is just the technology itself. And as I say, we've got that sweet team of people that are developing it, and the agility is phenomenal. The speed they develop is phenomenal. We feel like we've got like the perfect formula right now. So there's no need to raise money. It's the long answer to that question.
You mentioned there, you said you're never going to sell. You really believe you're never going to sell?
Really believe that, yeah. People don't believe me, and they say, like... Oh,
I don't believe you.
Imagine what you could do with 100 billion, or like you could buy... I mean, I'm a massive football fan. You could buy whatever football club in the... Buy Barcelona if you wanted to. Maybe not 100 billion, I don't know. But yeah, I think we're just having too much fun doing what we're doing. And I think in due course, I mean, Halo as a brand... We're becoming so Halo Way is our philosophy. There'll be a book at some point, depending on how crazy the journey becomes. Maybe there'll be a film as well. Who knows? But I do think we'll begin to transcend into different industries. I think Halo is a brand. I think we always prioritize character, passion over experience and qualifications. And I think if people come through and they're passionate about any particular area. We'll sort of just run with that, and we'll just create opportunity from. I just think you've got talent everywhere, throughout the whole world. I mean, we're in the UK at the moment, but even, take the UK. So there's smart, driven, great people throughout the whole country. The problem we've got is we're kind of in a society where all the best progressive opportunities are in the big cities, particularly the likes of London, Manchester, places like that. What we're all about is, because we don't hire experience, so we don't need to go to the big cities where that experience resides, we end up just creating real, like, there's so much gratitude, like, from the team as well, from just like what we're doing in Suffolk. It's transformational. And so Ipswich is a town, 120,000 population, something like that, and as with every other town across the country of that size, it's going through hard times at the moment. All the retail's all closing down in the centre of town, and there's a lot of hybrid working from home and stuff, which means that people aren't spending the money that they were at lunchtimes and after work. So these towns are really struggling, and I think Halo, we've got a bit of a master plan, which so Halo HQ will always be in Ipswich, but we're actually figuring out how we can now do a bit of a levelling up thing where we're literally picking like random towns across the UK. So think the likes of like Kings Lynn or I don't know, Lincoln perhaps, or Scarborough, like places where there really aren't a lot of opportunity, but there's a bunch of people. And I believe, like, in all these places, there's so much talent, and it just needs a good. It's so it's really interesting to see where we're going to go with that.
I think you're going to be the chairman of Ipswich Town. That's what it's going to happen. 5 years time,
no
private
way.
equity is going to come in. You're going to sell out, and then you're going to just be a football chairman. That's what's going to happen. Maybe I'll see you on Sky Sports, Paul, in a few years. It'll be great. Now, apart from having no shareholders to answer to and no private equity firms saying you've got to do X, Y, Z, what is the benefits of being a privately held company?
I mean, they are the main benefits, is that you're in complete control, the decision making, you can think so long term, like there's no, even private equity, they'd want a return within 3-5 years. They buy the asset, sell it on 3-5 years time. Like we were having a discussion the other day where there's some work we're doing now, we won't even begin to see the benefit until 5 years time. We're going around every school and college in Suffolk talking to students 16, 17, 18 years old. They're still to go off to uni for like 3-4 years. We're hoping that they will. There's a lot of excitement, and we are hoping that they will come back and work with us at Halo at some point. This is how far in the future we invest, and you'll see we've now got across all the universities, across not all of them, a lot of the key targeted universities sponsoring like the football teams, the hockey teams. We've got these power boost gadgets at the local bars around the universities. We're probably doing more, because I said we're product led. Product led doesn't work from a recruitment point of view. You have to market yourselves as a employer, as you'll know more than anyone. And I think the way to, and it's really hard to connect with students. So we're putting more effort at the moment into marketing, into like our employer branding than anything else in the business, which is again just flips around entirely the approach of our sort of peers in the enterprise software industry.
Yeah, because you've mentioned it there. You've built a product-led business. There's no flashy marketing department or marketing engine. There's no big sales force, which is obviously hugely disappointment for myself being a recruitment company. But was that by design, or do you just hate hiring sales and marketing people?
So it wasn't deliberate why we've evolved into a very technical-led organisation. What we realised quite early on, I think, is that like we would have one person who has maybe done a few years of consultancy, so implementing Halo for clients, delivering training, basically becoming a true Halo expert. You can pretty much field any question about Halo. But at the same time, and this is part of the checklist for any new graduate that comes into Halo, they have about 20 items on a checklist, and it's to become an all-rounder. So like it'll be things like attending trade shows where you speak to clients and you speak to partners and you're getting a feel for like, why is it that people are paying us money to use our platform? What value are they actually getting? They then have things like being part of an interview panel. So they'll actually get involved in the interview process. They'll also have as part of the program to lead an actual site visit. So maybe one of the smaller ones initially, but where we're going out to the client, we're implementing our platform, we're giving them training. So our whole graduate program in terms of how we develop talent is we create all-rounders. What that then means is that after a couple of years, 3 years, however long it takes, they make the best sales team. Because if you think, well, what is sales? We're not selling widgets. Like what we sell is something very complex. People don't spend millions of dollars a year on platforms that don't solve complex problems. Like, it is a complex thing. Yes, ideally you want to do it in a simpler way as possible, but you see some of our requirements document, they're like hundreds of pages long. This is a complex solution that we're selling. So you need people to sell that effectively. You need to have a really deep understanding of the platform, or you'd need to have a whole team maybe of a dozen people that have expertise in all the different areas. But what we find is, from a customer's point of view, it's not so enjoyable for them to work with 12 people, because then it becomes a bit more fragmented and someone will have to, I don't know, take a note and then go and ask someone else. And what we find, we just turn up, a couple of hours with the client, bang, 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 bang. We just answer all the questions and they're just blown away. And we're just doing it time and time again. And I think, honestly, like, part of the reason why our conversion rate, so anything that hits our desk that kind of gets to demo stage, so where they're seriously interested in Halo, we're converting like 70% of every single transaction that gets to that point. And it's completely unheard of in the industry. So it seems to work.
That sounds great, how you're breeding staff and making them all rounders in the business. That's great for an internally. But externally, Halo's been growing quietly, as I would say. No flashy campaigns, no big PR machine around it. How are you getting inquiries? How are you getting people to hear about Halo? Obviously, it's great when you get in front of them, but if they're not hearing about you, how are you getting inquiries?
90% plus is just word of mouth. So it's
90%?
90% plus, yeah. And this is the whole point of a product-led strategy. So we've got an Ipswich Town front of shirt deal. That's a community thing. It's an employer branding play. It's not necessarily to directly generate business. All we want, so our almost overarching goal of any deal we do, any transaction, we just want to get the client to a point, we call them go live happy, and we track it. We've got data in our platform, go live happy. So it's not just getting them live, it's getting them live and getting the feedback to the point where we know that they're really satisfied. When you get the client to go live happy, due to the industry we're in, people talk, there's a lot of peer-to-peer networks. There's that one recently, a CIO peer-to-peer, where I was told that the only reason they'd ever consider speaking to a vendor is if one of their other peers has said to them to go and check out this vendor.
Really?
It doesn't matter what trade shows you're at, and you're not just going to like wander past a stand and think, oh, that looks interesting, I'm going to go and check out that software vendor. You're only going to check them out if your CIO peer has said to you that, there's something really interesting going on at Halo at the moment. Go and check out those guys, because there's an amazing journey and amazing story building there. So that's, 90% plus of the business we get is word of mouth. And it may be that, because we have a lot of channel partners, and the partner ecosystem is very important for us, but it'll kind of be the same thing. Like you might use one of the leading VARs, Softcat, SEC, CDW, whatever it is, then you may be a client of theirs, but you'd still tell your peer who is also a client of one of these, and so it still builds through the partner ecosystem. But ultimately, it is just through word of mouth.
Now, you've mentioned a couple of things there. It could be through a partner, it could be word of mouth, it could be when you've done the demo. What's working best for you in 2025 winning net new customers? What method?
I mean, authenticity is like really important. Like, as selling anything, I think once you can connect, a proper connection with the buyer is so important. And we do it with such authority and confidence because we know, like, we just back ourselves, and we know our technology so well. Our tech stack is like 7 years old. It's so responsive and fast and modern compared to what we're coming up against. Just maybe like 20-year-old tech stacks in some cases. And I think when you just know inherently and you believe in what you're doing, that helps build that connection. And I think so it's not about Halo has this capability, which other platforms maybe haven't. Honestly, we're not going to claim to be market leader or anything in terms of capabilities. We're not. Like, the capabilities are in terms of actual functional problems you can solve with our platform. It's probably like very, very similar to what you can achieve with ServiceNow, very similar to what you can achieve with Salesforce.
Do you believe you've got the best technology?
Without question, yeah.
Without question?
Without question. In digital workflow for sales and digital workflow for service, our technology, if it's literally a technology comparison, there is no comparison. It's just like, honestly, anyone who's not experienced Halo, go to our website now, download a trial, just see how quick it is, see how responsive it is, see how clean it is, and you'll know what I'm talking about.
Impressive. Paul, software pricing models, I don't know this completely, but in my experience, very complicated, very convoluted, very, very different. You've gone the complete opposite way, pretty simple.
Yeah.
Why have you done that? And I want to caveat that as well is, aren't you worried about your customers thinking, just leave in January, forget it, turn off?
No, because we believe in our technology. They're not going to leave. Like our churn rate is it's less than 1%. Customers generally don't leave. If they do leave, it's because there's been an acquisition and they're using parent company software, or there's been a change of staff, because sometimes when a new head of service delivery comes in, they're just used to some other platform and they want to get their team using that. And that's fine. That's just the way it is. We also benefit from that as well. We've got one person I can think of where they've literally moved around they're on their 8th company every time they've implemented Halo, every organisation they've gone to. So it swings and roundabouts from that regard.
They're the best salesperson for you, aren't they?
Well, this is the thing. This is
going in implementing it for you.
It goes back to product-led word of mouth. Our sales and marketing engine it's our customers. It's just word of mouth. We had an event recently. It was in London. It was called Halo Sphere. We had a few hundred people, Westminster Plaza, Park Plaza Hotel, and who are a customer, by the way, great guys. And people came up to me and said, "Do you know what? This event has a really great vibe to it." And we were discussing it. It's like, what? And they were like, "Just realise that there's not a single. Nobody's upselling anything. There's nothing to sell. Halo has an all-inclusive license model." So, and we didn't have any partners, because we thought about bringing in other technology vendors. They'd then be kind of selling their technologies as well. We might do that at some point, but anyway, this one it was just Halo. It was purely a knowledge sharing event. So it was peer to peer. It was for our customers to speak to other customers and to us. We had about a dozen seminars going on, different topics, and it was just fantastic. It was such a positive knowledge sharing community of peers. And all we wanted to do, if you imagine, so a customer's paying, let's say it's a couple $100K a year, that's their contract. All we're doing is we're trying to get them to get more out of that. So it's get more ROI from what you spent. And that's the objective. And I think in terms of pricing, and it's, again, really interesting how in the enterprise software industry, typically, as you acquire more and more market share, I'd probably say, traditionally, the prices go up and up and up and up and up.
Yeah.
But when you actually think about it, the cost base, unless you're sort of hammering hundreds of millions of sales and marketing to grow that market share, but if it's a true product-led strategy, the margin for us, because we've now got about 6,000 customers, but as we become market leader, once we've got 60,000 customers, the cost per customer is going down and down and down and down, which means our margin is going up and up and up and up. So we've made a deliberate decision, and we've also got a very good strategic collaborative relationship with AWS, where we've managed to reduce our infrastructure cost by about 20%, or we will have done by the end of the year. So we've decided that from the 1st of January, world exclusive, but from the 1st of January, we're actually implementing a 5% price drop off our list pricing, which just does not happen. That then got me thinking. So we're at about 130 million US revenue. Actually, maybe a bit more than that at the moment. But we're on a path to billion. So if you can imagine a page on our website, we're going to start gamifying our progress. You know how transparent and direct we are. We want to get the public really backing us. And so what we're doing is we're going to create these milestones along the way that as we move up there and we get more and more customers that are bringing down our overall cost per customer, we're going to keep triggering these price reductions. And we believe we can get it down to about 40% less than what we're currently charging, which means that as we go up and become market leader, it's just going to get lower cost. Customers are going to get more and more value out of our platform. To execute that, you've got to think big picture. You cannot just think, all right, how's next quarter looking? But this is how much belief we have that we will be market leader in the space. Coming from a technologist point of view, that we're just proud of the technology and we want customers to use it and benefit from it, knowing as well that we will end up doing different things and there'll be all sorts of opportunities to, like once we do begin to saturate this market, we will be getting involved in other bits and pieces. There's a bunch of people that keep coming up to me, it's like for different product ideas, and we're like, yeah, we will do that at some point, but not just yet. So yeah, it's really exciting.
You've mentioned there like keeping a long-term view. How do you maintain that? You talked about the graduates 5 years out. You talked about your mentality 10 years, 20 years out. Every company I'm talking to, this quarter, this month, what's the numbers, what's happening? How do you have that mentality that you can have that vision where you're going that far out?
I think it's probably just a deep intrinsic character trait I have. I mean, I've always thought long term when making any decision, like very long term when making any decision. I think it's just built into me. I just don't think short term. And whether it's in my personal life or business, or I'm just a very long-term, big picture thinker. And I think as well, the type of people that have gone on and done very well at Halo and become part of the leadership team, it's just long-term, intrinsically driven people who don't really care too much about like short-term, extrinsic benefits or anything. I don't know. It's different, but I often wonder like why there's not more people like me. Like it's like why are we we're the only fully bootstrapped unicorn in history, and certainly in software industry. I've never come across another one. If anyone knows or anyone, let me know, because I've spoken to a lot of people and I asked that question. No one can come up with any other company that has got to over $1 billion valuation with zero investment and zero debt.
Look, I really admire the actual long-term thinking. You've gone through from doing your own implementations to 90% through partners. Actually, pretty quickly over the last 18 months, you've changed that. Why? Why have you changed it?
Two reasons. I think one, to realise our ambitions of becoming market leader. There's no way in the world we're going to do that without a very mature partner ecosystem, both from the acquiring client's point of view, but also from the delivery point of view. So it's not just about VARs bringing in deals and then us to find someone to deliver. It's very much delivery partners as well. In terms of how we've done it so quickly, I think, being honest, I think word is spreading like wildfire at the moment. Is probably, and there is a finite window of opportunity here, I think, where, because we will not, I know some software vendors, they honestly work with like over 1,000 partners. I'm like, how do you do that? Like it takes so much. And I think the answer to that is it's a very collaborative model we have with our partners. So the amount of time we spend in that enablement process, the upskilling, which by the way, there's no investment required from partners. We don't charge anything for the Halo certification courses. So it's not a profit center. It's not like, again, some of our competitors will see this as a whole money-making opportunity. Again, because we think big picture, we just think, well, hold on a minute. This collaborative relationship is going to be win-win anyway. We're going to benefit. You're going to benefit. We don't need to like actually figure out the exact details or like monetizing all our time right now. This is a long-term game. So we don't charge our partners to work with us. And I think just that collaborative nature of what we're like to work with, it's just, again, word of mouth. It's just like, so that side of the product, so our product there is working with partners and upskilling partners. That's a product-led strategy as well. So you won't find us like massively marketing our partner scheme, or I don't even think we've transparently like particularly done that at all. It's just literally been, because we've never done any outbound selling, and you won't believe this, but in our history, we have never done any outbound selling at that scale anyway. It's just, so it's all inbound inquiries, again, word of mouth. And the same thing with partners, that we won't really, we're not too proactive with how, the thing is, and it comes back to how quickly we want to grow. We've doubled in size now 8 years in a row. This year we're at about 60%, slowing a little bit. Combination of two things: the bigger you get, the harder it is to continue to double. But secondly, the market is slowed down a little bit. I think some of our competitors now just having the kind of the worst quarters in their history and stuff like that, and we're still doing very well. We've just had our best quarter ever. But yesterday, incidentally, was our best day in terms of acquiring new ARR we've ever had, and it wasn't just one big deal. It was a bunch of deals across bunch of products, and it's incredible. We got 1.3% of what has taken 21 years to build. We just did 1.3% of that in one day.
Yeah, I'm definitely the growth you've had, 100% growth, and you've only done 6% this year. I'm not going to feel sorry for you this year, Paul. I'm really not. It's still going too well for me. It's still going too well. Let's talk about generally about what's going on in Halo, because the Halo Impact Initiative. Let's talk about that. What's that mean for the listeners, and what's that mean for your team?
There's two bits to this. One is over the years, I've just heard about the size and how much some of the world's biggest charities, so think the likes of Oxfam, Red Cross, UNICEF, these guys, that they're paying a lot of money for their enterprise software. Like, they're paying millions for their enterprise software subscriptions. We just thought, well, do you know what? Halo, we're doing well enough. Like, we've got good enough margin, we're making enough profit. And again, I think it comes back to us not really having anything too pressing to do with these funds. And we thought, well, it would actually be quite a nice touch to offer our software, and not just the license fees, but we thought, because we really can make a huge impact with the world's very largest charities. So we're actually delivering the technology as well, completely free of charge, out of a funded pot. We're committing $10 million of our own, but people say, what's the external? So it's literally Halo's money. It's in Halo's bank account. It's Halo's profit we've acquired over the years is going to fund all this. And as well, I said about the bar on our website where we're going to chart from 0 to 1 billion, just over 100 at the moment, and the milestones. So what we're going to do is we're going to up the charitable pot as we go up the ladder as well to 1 billion. We want to get to a stage where we can have every single charitable organisation of any size worldwide using Halo technology completely free of charge. We can't do that quite yet because we haven't quite got the resource to do it globally for absolutely everyone. But that's where we want to get to. And we believe when we're at 1 billion, we will be able to do that just completely free of charge for everyone.
You should be end up buying a recruitment company. That's what I want to do next. That's what I'll be selling to you. I'll be coming and knocking on your door.
But so that side of it, just in terms of I hate seeing the wastage in charities and everything. But the other thing is, from an internal team at Halo perspective, and I was a bit surprised how many people were like, there's so many people really excited to get involved in the charitable initiative. And it just means it makes the employment more fulfilling, and there's more gratification, and it's just a flywheel. It all feeds in that creates more good stuff.
Yeah. Now, you've already said you're not selling, and you can't get sacked, really. But if you did get sacked, or you left, or you sold out, what would you do next? What would you end up doing if it happened tomorrow?
If it was forced, and it is a very democratic environment, so maybe I could get sacked. Meritocratic as well, so if I'm not pulling my weight, the team will have something to say about that. It'd have to be, I'm massively into sports. Whether it's playing, like, honestly, Halo is a sports team. Like, we're in this tournament, we're in this league. There's a sports team mentality. We're kind of now we're in the Champions League. We're not the Barcelona. We're the minnows in the Champions League, if you like. But we want to win that Champions League trophy. Yeah, we've always, and I think, hey, if you meet the people, and please do come to our office sometime, and you'll just see like it's a young team, and I say team, it's more like a NFL team with hundreds of people now, rather than just an English football team. But yeah, it's so I think for me it would have to be something to do with sport, whether it's. But I don't like wastage. I wouldn't want to be one of these owners that just like buy a team and just throw hundreds of millions at it just so it comes to nothing.
This is back to my football analogy that you're going to be chairman of Ipswich Town.
Ipswich Town have the best leadership and the best chairman, and honestly, it's really exciting to see where they're going to go.
My last question, and I don't want you to sit on the fence. I don't want you to say Halo. I want you to say a company that you've either worked with, or as a competitor, or as a partner, or as a vendor, or another distributor, could be anything, that you think is going to do well in 2026. So who's the one to watch, in your opinion?
So in the MSP space, at the lower end, you've got SuperOps has come along in the last few years. And being honest with you, I think if you're less than 10 agents, and you don't want, because Halo PSA, so the platform for MSPs, you need to you need to have that properly implemented. It's a very powerful platform. You can't just expect to procure it and implement it yourself. It's going to be a disaster. So I think at the lower end, and so super ops have come along, and I think they do a really good job at the lower end of the market for just very basic, simple MSPs that don't need a sort of complex, powerful platform. So I think they're going to continue to do good things. In the ESM space, honestly, like as soon as you hear the word enterprise, because it's the thing with the enterprise software space is you almost never get newcomers anymore, because if you think so you got like ServiceNow, BMC, Ivanti, then you got Salesforce, HubSpot. They're all like very mature, established vendors, with almost all of the market share as well, by the way. You've got Atlassian now. I'd probably say some of the stuff Atlassian are doing is pretty decent. Atlassian. But yeah, I don't know. It's and like then you got like Oracle and SAP and Workday. It's all the same. It's anything in enterprise software. So it's because we've gone up the ladder. We've just seen like the further up the ladder we go, the standards across the industry just drop and drop and drop and drop. It kind of makes it easier and easier and easier for us to compete, because we're building the business in a way where we will not ever allow our standards to drop. And if we've had waiting lists, like we had a waiting list for new customers last summer, and it's because we were accelerating too quickly, where things were getting we're like, oh, because we measure NPS, like we've got an NPS score, customer NPS is about 70, so just below world class. And if you look at all the Gartner peer insights, we are a top rated vendor. And again, because we think so long term, if we ever see signals, and we're honed into this, like we're so like sensitive to it, that we will take action. We will think, okay, guys, we need to just slow down a little bit, consolidation phase, and then go again. And that's just the way we approach business.
Paul, you've been a great guest. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Mark.